Hello and welcome to the Sovereign CEO podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Ann, and today I want to begin by posing the question, what has the 4 levels of consciousness as defined or taught by Michael Beckwith and Peter Sage as a model got to do with moving out of the paradigm of high achievement through force to alignment with life force energy? This is specifically talking about or exploring the evolutionary pathway from being a willful creator and creating from the mind to an embodied sacral creator for the sacral being. So this is aimed mostly at generators and talking about how the generator needs to shift through these levels of consciousness to be able to surrender and actually trust and create in flow by responding to life through their sacral yeses. So if you are new to human design is a system where it identifies you as a specific type. This is not a personality test. This is very, very specific. And each type has a very specific strategy for making decisions and moving through life in what we call alignment. And alignment simply means that you are co-creating your reality in a way that allows you to create from a place of non-resistance. So there are emotional themes for each of the types. And when you are consistently experiencing the emotional theme, today we're really focusing on generators. The emotional theme for the generator who is not living in truth to their design and how they are uniquely designed to create is frustration. So if you are a generator or a manifesting generator, you have what we call a sacral response. It's a very specific way for you to be able to know what is true for you, what decision is true for you, what opportunity is right for you. The big challenge that generators or manifesting generators face is that very, very early on in life, they are conditioned out of this decision-making strategy of following what is true for them, and are taught to create through the mind. The generator is really here to wait to respond. But most of us, especially high achievers, are taught to initiate. We get an idea from the mind. We want to push it forward. And there is a much easier way to create. So my work is working with high achievers who really want to create from flow over force, who want to learn to co-create their reality in a way that is deeply aligned with their authentic way of creating. And one of the tools that we use is the human design system. So what we're talking about today is going to completely change the way how we, as a generator, move through life in business and in your decision making. So, and what that is, it's the shift between, or the shift from by me consciousness into through me consciousness, and how this relates to your sacral response. So what I've seen over and over again with high achievers and entrepreneurs is that many of us have been trained to operate through by me consciousness. So by me is personal power. It's the high achiever consciousness. It's the attitude that life happens alone purely by my effort, by my strategy and my willpower. But what it doesn't take into account is an alternative intelligence, a co-creative consciousness, which we begin to see when we move into through me consciousness. So through me is when we actually allow life to work with us and we move in flow with life. So we're flowing with the stream rather than fighting against it. This is where we can work with the quantum field. This is where we can visualize and allow something to show up and take action. This is where we can pray and connect with our God consciousness and allow ourselves to receive information and move with flow. So it's very much moving out of I do everything alone to co-creating with a higher intelligence in life. When we are in by me consciousness, we are in the mindset of making things happen. So we set goals, we push harder, we work longer, we prove ourselves, and we're often operating from, I would say, distorted templates and distorted identity. And there is a real power in this state because it moves us out of passivity into responsibility. It allows us to have agency over our lives and take a proactive approach. But there is a shadow side to this. So when everything depends on us pushing harder and controlling an outcome, life becomes exhausting, especially for generators. Often initiating things and going down that forceful route can lead to quitting, lead to cycles of things going nowhere, or just deep extreme frustration and discontentment. The generator's aligned emotional theme is satisfaction. So the question I pose for you at this point is, how often in a week do I feel satisfied? Satisfied with the work I've done at the end of the day, satisfied with the product that I've created, satisfied with just feeling content and present and at ease? Or am I gripping life? Am I controlling? Am I frustrated? Am I tired? Do I know when enough is enough? Am I trying to prove myself and prove my worth? Generators have an incredible amount of life force energy, but it's not designed to be driven by the mind. It's designed to respond to life. When a generator is operating purely through by me consciousness, you're initiating, you're chasing opportunities. You commit to things because you think that you should. So you're doing things because you should do it, or it's the right thing to do. There's obligation, there's duty, and you're overriding your body. And eventually what shows up is the frustration and in some and many cases, depletion. But there is another way to move through life, and that way is through me consciousness. And this is what psychologists call flow. It's the state where life begins to move through you rather than being forced forward by you. You're still taking action, but you're taking inspired action. And you're taking the action that your body gives you the sacral yes to respond to. So when you do take action in this way, it works, it's ease. The right opportunities show up. The right people show up. Things begin to move with ease and flow rather than this constant force. And this is the natural state of a healthy sacral center for a generator. The sacral responds to what life presents. It doesn't need to plan everything from the mind. You know And your sacral isn't moralistic. It doesn't have emotions. It just knows, it just responds. And that physical energy, that electric energy, that expansive energy, or the constriction, it is a very clear mechanism for what is correct for your use of energy and how you apply your energy to something or not. So when the sacral lights up, this is when you know that you have the energy to actually follow through on something. But when you force an outcome from your mind, often you become drained. When you begin as a generator to follow your response consistently, something very remarkable happens. You love your work again. Your energy becomes regenerative, renewable, and you feel that satisfaction. So I'd like to use a story as an analogy for how moving in this state of alignment works for the generator. So imagine a woman or a man, imagine yourself is standing at the edge of a wide, fast-moving stream. The water is deep and rushing quickly. You look across and can clearly see the other side, which is the place that you know you want to get you. It's your point B. But there is no bridge, and the current is too strong for you to walk through. So you begin pacing along the bank of the stream. The woman is trying to figure out, how am I going to get across? She studies the water, she calculates the distance, she searches for the perfect path. And the more she's thinking, trying to figure out, the more frustrated she becomes. Because she can see where she wants to go, the end result goal, but she has no idea how to get there. And then something unexpected happens. As she stands quietly at the edge of the water, a single smooth river stone appears. So she's let go, and suddenly she's looked down. She's noticed. And it's just a few feet away from the bank. Perfectly positioned. Close enough for her to step onto safely. So she steps onto the stone. Now she's closer to the other side, to the other bank, to the end result goal. But there are no more visible stones. What do I do now? What is the way? And the frustration again begins to rise. She looks across the stream and starts trying to calculate, how might I jump to the other side? She shifts her weight. She considers leaping into the water and hoping for the best. But just as she begins to panic, she hears a gentle reminder. Look down. And when she does, she sees another stone appear in the water. And it's just far enough ahead for her to take the next step. So she steps onto it. And something interesting then begins to happen. Each time she steps onto the stone that has appeared for her, and she has responded to it and followed that specific, correct, most aligned next step to that end result, another stone appears further along the stream. They don't all appear at once. But now, instead of trying to control the outcome and figure everything out from the mind, by me, consciousness, she's living from response. She's trusting that I'll know what I need to know when I need to know it. And I'm trusting that actually the next step, the next aligned action is going to appear for me. And I will be able to respond when life presents the next step. So the more she trusts the process, the calmer she becomes. Because instead of trying to force her way across the stream, she simply stands where she is and she waits, and the next stone appears. And each time she does this, she moves forward, stone by stone, step by step. And eventually she reaches the other side of the stream. And by the time she realizes, by the time she arrives, she realizes something important. That the path was never, ever meant to be revealed all at once. It only appeared as she responded to what was already there. Now, the sacral path works very much like that stream. When we try to figure out the entire path from A to B from the mind, we become overwhelmed, we become frustrated, and actually we are limited. We are limited by the actual possibilities and the ways that things can actually happen when we stop trying to control everything and work individually alone, compared to when we open up to God within, to a higher intelligence, to the quantum field, and when we move from a place of trust, surrender, and tuning in to higher consciousness and intelligence that actually provides and collapses the steps. Because the more we tune into the more we start moving from the identity of who we want to be, plus following our embodied strategy, the way appears. When we want to know the final destination and how we do how every step, or what every step that is required to get there is, you can burn yourself out forcing your way through, or going down multiple different pathways which are leading in circles and leading nowhere. But the sacral doesn't actually work that way. And for a generator or a manifesting generator, actually beginning by working with your sacral is you're the easiest types to actually co-create reality and to surrender into a powerful, aligned way of being and doing. The sacral responds to what is in front of you. One opportunity, one conversation, one invitation, one experience. Each one is like a stepping stone. And when you respond, when you get that full body yes, and you respond to the stone that is present, the next one appears. And this is how generators move from by me consciousness into through me consciousness. And this is how you get to leverage your design, leverage alignment, and actually create in a very, very powerful way, but reducing the effort and reducing the force. So instead of forcing life forward, you allow life to meet you. You place yourself in environments where opportunities can arise. You listen to the energy in your body. You trust the next step when it appears. The sacral is never going to map out the whole route, but it is going to say, step onto this stone. Follow this idea. This is the opportunity to take. That's not for you. And when you begin trusting that response, something very powerful happens. Frustration dissipates and dissolves. Energy increases and returns. Deep, deep self-trust in I call it the magic carpet of life. I'm a projector 1-3, and I will talk on a different episode about how I move through life. With what I call the magic carpet of life. But for generators, things show up, signs, synchronicities, very, very quickly for you to respond to. And you know it's a yes or it's a no. And as soon as you trust that, life becomes very different for you. And satisfaction emerges. So life begins to feel less like something that you have to push forward and more like something that moves through you, guiding you from one stone to the next. A lot of the work I do with high achievers and founders, entrepreneurs is identity-based, stepping into their authentic way of co-creating and creating, looking at how their design gives us deep, deep insights into how you can show up in your business, in your branding, in your positioning, but in life in general, so that you can start moving from a deep internal sense of congruence and a deep internal sense of self-trust. So by me consciousness says, I decide my life. And there is an element of, tuning into decision, tuning into desire. But when you move from your sacral, you allow the correct, aligned choices for you, and then you decide from there. Through me consciousness says, I respond to life. By me says, I need to push harder. Through me says, I need to listen more deeply. By me is mental. Through me is somatic. By me leads to frustration, exhaustion, depletion, and through me leads to satisfaction. Many high achievers who are operating through by me consciousness get stuck because it does get results, it does build businesses, it does build momentum. And if you're moving from underlying patterns of having to prove your worth, having to earn love, stuck in feast and famine, or stuck in cycles, patterns that are identity-based patterns, it works. But eventually your body does start to push back and you start to feel that frustration. You start to feel misaligned. You start to hate doing what you're doing because it's just not, it's not true for you. And what's actually happening is that you're coming to realize that your next level actually requires a different way of operating. A healthy sacral being is not rushing, not forcing, not constantly initiating. You are responsive. You're tuned in. You feel when something lights you up. You engage deeply with what you have the energy for. You trust the timing of life. And you feel satisfied, not just productive, but actually deeply content, at peace. You're not tense. You're not anxious. You're not able to not switch off, The unhealthy pattern that many entrepreneurs are finding themselves in is, or CEOs or people in positions of leadership or just in general jobs, when you're living a life where you're out of alignment, you are exhausted. You're frustrated. You're saying yes when your body means no. And you're living in this constant tension between what you think you should be doing and what you should be doing and what is actually true for you, what you actually have the energy for. And this is where people begin to feel trapped by their own success. So here is some practical ways that you can begin to work with this energy. Number one, stop making decisions purely from your mind. Start noticing your sacral responses. And of course, this is something I coach and mentor generators to do in my mentorship spaces with them. But look at your commitments and ask, do I actually have the energy for this? Or did I talk myself into it? And really, the biggest thing is to give yourself permission to wait, because you will not have to wait very long. And you don't wait passively, but as a way of calibrating your energy for what truly is for you. When you begin to respond by life and when you begin to create through your response, you're not losing your ambition, you're not losing your drive, but you do stop paying for your success with your energy. So if you're listening and you're somebody who has built success through effort and you know it's not sustainable for you or for the level that you want to grow into, this is the work that I do. I help high achievers recalibrate how they operate so that you can scale without burnout and actually feel aligned with what you're building. So if this episode resonates with you, I'd love you to share it. I'd love you to reach out. You can DM me and we can have a call to discuss whether now is the time for you to enter into the Sovereign Leadership Initiation, which is a one-to-one high-level mentorship to guide you back into your sovereignty, your power, your next level vision from a place of calibration and alignment and identity, not rooted in the patterns and the conditionings, but actually from a place of deep, deep personal power.